Hello everyone and welcome back to another AI workshop session. Today we are going to cover our last session, which is going to be session number 25. This session is going to be very exciting because we are going to learn something really cool today. Have you ever imagined having your own assistant, like someone who reminds you to study, gives you notes, or even tells you daily news? Well, today we are going to learn how to build that using AI. So let's start with the quote of the day. Students who learn AI today will teach the world tomorrow. You are not just learning technology, you are preparing to become future creators, innovators, and leaders. Maybe one of you will be building the next big AI app, the next big social media platform, the next big service marketplace. All of that is possible in today's world of AI. So now let me show you this image. Have you ever imagined that what if you could have your own AI assistant just like Jarvis in Iron Man? Iron Man used to give commands to Jarvis, the voice command he used to give, and Jarvis used to do all of his tasks. Imagine having some AI assistant with you like that. In today's world of AI, that is not an imagination, that is actually reality. You can build your own AI assistant with the help of AI only. And in today's session, we will see how you can build your own AI assistant. One that follows your instruction, helps you study, and works just for you and on your command. Now let's change the name. The AI assistant term that we are using is pretty generic and pretty boring because assistant is something which helps you doing a task when you do it on your own. Assistant is just like a helper, but agent is something different. AI agent means you do not have to even look after the work and the agent will completely do the entire work for you. So that is the difference between an assistant and agent. So let's change the name from now on. Instead of calling AI assistant, we will term the name as AI agent. Now let's move into our today's session and let's see how we can build our own agent. Remember, AI tool is not equal to AI agent because now the word AI agent is something I explained you in the previous slide, that agent is something that automatically does all the tasks for us. But AI tool is completely different. Both are different terms and both carry out different functions. So let's see how. AI tool is a single program made to intelligently carry out a single task. It does one task. Example, ChatGPT answering our question. We ask questions to ChatGPT and ChatGPT answers our question. That is a tool. We use that tool to get answers to our questions. But AI agent combines several tools or applications to complete a series of tasks because we know in today's world, not every work is consisting of one single task. It is being divided into a series of tasks which AI agent is capable of doing on its own. It does multiple tasks together, just like check the time, get the news, send the message. So just like that. AI tool is a single worker and AI agent is a team leader. Now, AI agents are powerful because they follow your instruction, they can plan their own steps, they focus on completing a goal. And guess what? You can even create your own AI agent, which we will learn in today's session. Before going into that, let's cover the difference between AI tool and AI agent. So AI tool, it operates according to the prompt or guidance you give, just like ChatGPT. We give the prompt to ChatGPT and it operates according to that. But AI agent has its own intelligence. It develops its own strategy and concentrates on reaching a goal, reaching an end goal, achieve a functionality achieve some task predefined by the user, so it has its own intelligence. So that's the difference between a tool and an agent. Now several businesses have already developed and are selling these tools. For example, ChatGPT, you must have heard about the premium plans of ChatGPT, Gemini, Napkin, Notebook LM, etc. But agent is something you have to create and modify of your own, because agent is customized according to the user's need. So you have to create and modify on your own. Now let's learn some basics of AI agent. What is an AI agent? What does it do? How can we set it up, and how it is useful in our everyday process? So it consists of 5 steps or 5 components. First one is process, then we have workflow, then we have trigger, filter and actions. One by one, let's see what everything means and how it combines into becoming an AI agent. So what is a process? A process is just a list of steps. For example, drink water reminder. What you have to do for that? You have to check the time, see if 2 hours has already been passed or not, and then send a reminder. Then that process is repeated over and over again. So it is like a cyclic process of steps which is repeated again and again. Then let us understand what is a workflow. Workflow is something like the process arranged in a order. That means it is the sequencing of the process, the list of process, the sequencing of that process is called workflow, because the sequencing matters a lot. Suppose for example, you have to go to your school. What are the sequential steps regarding that? First you have to pack your bag, then you have to board your school bus, then you have to arrive the school, then you have to go to the classroom. You cannot do the step 3 in the place of step number 1, right? So everything is sequential in a workflow. For example, in the previous example that we have seen of drinking water reminder, here checking the time is the first step in the process or in the workflow. Then the second step is to if 2 hours has passed or not since the last time I drink water. Then I have to send the reminder, then the whole process is repeated over and over. So the sequencing is very important, and that sequencing is exactly what we call as workflow. Then let's understand what automation means. Automation means the work happens automatically. You don't need to press any button. Example, every 2 hours the AI sends reminder automatically to drink water. It helps us to become lazy, but in a smart way. Now let's understand what is a trigger. A trigger is what starts everything, like the entry point of the automation. Like when the automation have to start, that entry point or that starting point is known as trigger. In our current example of drinking water reminder, trigger is something that we have the time span of 2 hours. Every 2 hours the time is triggered, and we have to remind the user that please drink water. It has already been past 2 hours since last time you drank water. Now let's see this another example. We have this time trigger for every 2 hours. We have this location trigger when I reach school. We have this message trigger when I get a notification. All of these are different types of trigger and have different types of functionality. Suppose for example, our drinking water example had a time trigger. Every 2 hours it has to be triggered. Okay, so that is what we call a time trigger. Location trigger is something, let me give you a real life example. Suppose you have to set up a automation or AI agent that whenever you reach school, it will remind you to submit your homework. So that is based on the location you are present in. So when you are at school, it will remind you to please submit your homework. But when you are at home, you do not need to submit your homework because you are at your home. You do not have any class teacher or any teacher present over there. So that trigger need not to be specified at that time. So location wise, the trigger is affected. When I reach the school, the trigger should be applied. So that is what different types of triggers are, and we have to use different types of triggers according to our use case. So now let us understand what is a filter. Filter means AI decides when to act and when not to. Suppose for example, if the weather is hot, it will check the weather, it will check the temperature, it will check the humidity, and it will send reminder to stay hydrated. Drink this much glass of water to stay hydrated. So it is based on the weather condition of today's location, and on the basis of that it decides, the filter decides when to act and when not to. Suppose the weather is cold, it will skip the reminder because as it is cold and less humid, we don't need that much amount of water in our body, so it will skip the reminder. If it is practice day, it will send the extra reminder. Suppose you have the exams to day after tomorrow, it will send reminder to you that please study, you have exams day after tomorrow, so you have to study for extra hours. Suppose the exams are over, now it will not send you the reminder because as the exams are already over, you do not have any extra burden or any extra pressure. So that's exactly what a filter does. It lets AI decide when to act and when not to. Now what is actions? Actions means what are the actual tasks the AI agent does, like sending a notification, speaks using AI voice, updating our data or log, reminds us with a message to drink water or study or to submit our homework. So these are all the action or the end task of a automation workflow. So the AI agent is consisting of 5 different things. First one is process. Process is basically all the list of tasks that we have to complete in order to achieve some goal. Workflow means the sequencing of the process or the list of tasks. Trigger means when the event will be started, the entry point or the starting point of our event. Filter means the decision taken by AI whether to act or not act on the basis of the condition provided. Then actions is the final action or the end task which is provided by the AI agent on the basis of decision that it has taken on the basis of all the process, workflow, trigger and filter. So I hope you understood everything about what is an AI agent, what is all its different components and how it works. Now let us jump into this building AI agent part. So let's start building an AI agent. Now comes the exciting part. We are going to build our own AI agent. So to build our own AI agent, we need this platform known as n8n. It is a workflow builder basically. It lets you connect apps, services, APIs, all these things. If you do not understand these terms like apps, services, APIs, don't worry, we will be covering them in detail what they mean in simple terms. But for now, just remember that n8n is a workflow or a app by which we can build our automatic workflows. It is like a builder where you connect different apps and create your own automatic system. So what is an API? API stands for Application Programmer Interface. So let me explain this to you in a fun way. Imagine a restaurant we have the kitchen in the restaurant where the actual work is happening. The orders are being prepared, the orders are being taken, the customizations from the customer are being taken, and the food is being prepared. Then we have the customer, that is the user or you guys who are placing the order. That order is being passed on to the kitchen, but how will the order be passed to the kitchen? There should be some intermediary component, right, who will pass our order to the kitchen. So that's where we have our component that is known as waiter. The waiter pass the order from customer to kitchen. So that's exactly how API works. API pass our information into another application. So apps basically talk with each other using API. So we are the customer, and in the place of kitchen we have app. So in app we have to put our data. So the data is being passed through APIs. So the role of API is just like a role of waiter. I hope you understood this example and understood what API is in a simple word. Basically, in simple terms, API is something that fetches our data that we provide to the AI tool or any website. Then it passes on the data into the backend of the website where the actual logic and functioning of the website is present. So that connection between the customer and the server is done by API. I hope you understood everything about API. So now let's see an example workflow. In n8n we have this workflow where this is the trigger. This particular part is the trigger. Trigger means the entry point of the automation workflow. And in trigger we have specified that we need this trigger to happen at 7 a.m. every day. So we have set the trigger that our automation will start at 7 a.m. every day. Then we have this workflow configuration. Then we have this AI agent. We also have a chat model integrated over here. And then we fetch the news using the API, just like I have explained the concept to you. We fetch the news using API and then transfer it to the user who want to see the news. So this is the workflow, an example workflow where I have set up the automation to send me the daily news at 7 a.m. every day. So let's start using n8n. Let me go to the n8n website. So this is the interface of n8n website. Something it looks like this. You have to go to this sign in and use your own details like email and password, something like that. You can also get started if you do not have a account yet. You can add your account over here, then it will ask you some details, then you can proceed to login. So this is something like the UI of the n8n platform when we log in into that. So this is our workspace. So let me show you an AI agent demo. An AI agent that can send you mail every morning 7 a.m. of news highlights. So let me show you by creating a workflow. I have already created the workflow, but let me show you that once. And we can also create it again. So let me duplicate this tab and we will set up the exact workflow another time. So first of all, you have to go to this create workflow. Then in the first step, you have to search for trigger, because as we have already discussed, the trigger is the first step in every automation. Okay, so in schedule trigger, we have to specify when we want to start the trigger. So I have given the time 7 a.m. because I need the news headlines or the news bulletins at 7 a.m. in my inbox. So I have chosen 7 a.m. as the trigger at this particular hour. Then we have specified this. Then after that we have to click on this plus. Then we have to click on HTTP request. Basically we have to send a request to a news website because we cannot get news from AI, right? We have to extract it from a news website. So let me go to Times of India. Okay, this is the website. We have to copy this link and then paste it over here. And then I can also select all these different things, but as of now it is not required. We can skip that if you want. Okay, so we have set up the HTTP request. Then you can see I have set up this HTTP request like that. Then you can see we have this extract text content. So what does this do is that it extracts all our content from the website, then formats it according to a user-friendly format. So let me do that. Let me choose extract. Okay, in the HTML we have to go to actions and then go to extract HTML content. Okay, so just like that we have done over here, extract HTML content. We have done it right over here. Then in the source data we have to specify JSON, and in the property we have to select data. Don't get confused if you are getting confused right now, because these are really advanced things. It is used by software developers mainly. So I am just explaining how to set it up in an easy way, but later we will see how we can also do it in a more easier and convenient way. Okay, so here I have extraction value. Let me copy this one only. Key we have to specify page text. Okay, then in the CSS selector let me choose body. Then in the return value we have to return the text. Okay, so also we have to trim the values. You can add the option over here. I can trim the values and I can clean up the text to make it more efficient and more user friendly. So I have set this up. Okay, so everything is done. Our output from HTML is being extracted properly. Now let us set up an AI agent. So in this particular workflow I have set up this AI agent which will summarize the news, because the news website will return a lot of things and we have to summarize that news. And how we can summarize? By using a chat model which will summarize the news that is being extracted from this website into simple bullet points. So that one I am going to use by using an AI agent. So let me choose AI agent. Then in the AI agent we have to add a chat model. Which chat model I want to use? Let me use this Grok chat model because it is available for free, and we have to we can also use it for free because it is available for free. So let me show you how you can set this up using your account. Basically the chat model is like a brain to your AI agent which will summarize the news for you. So you have to go to this connect chat model. You have to choose Grok account. Then after that you have to set up an API key. How you can set the API key? You have to go to Grok API key. Then basically you have to sign it up over here. You have to sign up over here, and then you have to click on this create API key. So API key is basically how our AI agent will be talking with the Grok chat model. Our Times of India news is being extracted, and we need to send that news to Grok chat because it will summarize that for us. And we have already seen how two different websites can communicate with each other. They have to pass the data using an API, which is like an waiter who pass the order to the kitchen. So the API will pass our data to the Grok chat model, which will summarize the whole thing for us, and it will give us the summarized output. So in this way you can create the API key. Let me show you one. So when you click on that create API key, it will ask you something like this. You have to go to Grok API, then create API key, then you have to mention the name of the API key. You can give any name what you want. I have given daily update or daily news, or you can also give your name. It does not matter. You can give any name you want. Then it will give you a secret key, which is basically your API key. So you have to copy that API key and then paste it over here in the workflow, in the settings, in the Grok account. I have already created the credential, so let me choose that model only, Grok Compound, because it is the best model of Grok. And then the maximum number of tokens, keep it 8000. From add option you can add the number of tokens you need. You can keep it 8000 because we need to give the news in a more efficient way. We need a large number of tokens, and then you can set it up to default or anything. You do not need to worry about that. Okay, so our AI agent is being set up. So let us go to our last step. We have to connect our Gmail by which we can send the message. So click on this send message, then add the email ID that you want to send the message into. Currently I am typing my own email ID. So it is done. I can give the subject of email like daily news, and then in the message I can write. So it will extract the previous nodes to use the input data. Basically it will extract the input or the output of the AI agent and it will share that with us. Okay, now we have one last step over here. So in the prompt we have to summarize this news, because the news is going to be a lot of text, and we have to summarize that because we cannot take any input. Okay, so we have limited the content or 15,000 characters. Okay, otherwise the news will be too long for us to deal with, right? Now here also we can add some prompt over here. So click on this system message and add a customized prompt over here, and then I think our process is ready. Let's click on execute workflow. So currently it is activating the trigger. Then the trigger will go to the HTTP request and fetch the news from Times of India website. Then that content will be formatted by the HTML content extractor. Then that formatted content will be sent to AI agent. Then the AI agent will use the Grok chat model to summarize the news for us, then it will send that output in a email format into our inbox. Okay, so let me click on create workflow or execute workflow, and let's wait for some time until it sends an email to us. Then I will show you. Okay, so I have received the mail. Let me hit refresh over here. Okay, so we have received the news. Today's news: government hikes ATF duty, cuts excise on petrol, diesel, NASA announces nuclear powered mission to Mars. So this all news are fetched in real time, and the date is 27 March 2026. So these all are latest news, and here also we have a automatic message that this email was sent automatically with n8n. I am not the one who is sending the message. n8n is the one which is sending the message to us. Okay, so this is exactly everything we need to worry about our workflow. I hope you understood how we can create such type of agents which can automatically do all these kinds of things, and it can notify us in real time. So we have already seen this, how to create the API key, how to choose the model, how to connect Gmail. Okay, now I know that everyone of you might be extremely confused right now. If you feel confused right now, it's totally okay. Even experts were beginners once. This platform is actually used by software developers.